I'm Tiziana Deering. Scott Kirsner is here. He's our columnist with our editorial partner, MassLive. And Scott, you're here to talk about quantum computing, which you feel is sort of taking off and that Boston's got some future in, yeah?
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of those fields that's definitely worth watching. A lot of money's going into it. And the foundation of it is a lot of decades of academic research.
Understood, in which case, I kind of feel like I ought to understand, to the extent that I can, Scott Kirsner, what is quantum computing?
Well, if you've heard of the field of quantum physics, it does try to describe the way that molecules in our universe interact with each other and behave, and the way that energy behaves. And the idea, it was described by Richard Feynman, the physicist, at a conference here in the Boston area in 1981, is that if you want to understand the way nature works, the way the universe works, we should build quantum computers that work that way, not just these silicon-based computers that have lots of switches in them that can either be 0 or 1. You know, our world is not made up of zeros and ones.
Right. So this is a move from a binary system to something just a whole lot more sophisticated and powerful.
I think that's a way to think about it. Sophisticated, nuanced, powerful, and better able to simulate stuff that happens in our world, whether that's the way a drug attacks a disease in our body or it's the way a hurricane forms in the Atlantic Ocean. Better and faster, do those simulations better and faster than today's binary silicon-based computers.
Is there any quantum computer out there doing simulations yet?
Oh, yeah, there are. I mean, this company that I went to visit in Boston called Quera already has been doing simulations about clinical trials and saying, okay, if you have a small amount of data for maybe a clinical trial of a very rare disease, how could you extrapolate that small population of patients who've taken the drug or had the treatment to a broader population of patients who may be different from them biologically?
So literally feed it the data about the characteristics of a broader population, then have it run a simulation versus an actual trial.
Right, where you might not be able to easily find 1,000 people who have this very rare disease.
All right, so that's the strength. Those are the things that this faster computing can do for us. On the flip side, I mean, the warning bells that it could, there's one AI that refused to shut itself off. There's the problem with the chatbot from Elon Musk's company last week or the week before where it was praising Hitler.
Right. So where your brain is going is AI plus quantum computers
make that bigger,
equals
stronger, faster.
Superhuman intelligence.
Right.
And that's one direction. That's like the Black Mirror direction that this could go, right?
Yeah, but
The
is that
dystopian.
so science fictional?
No, I think we need to be discussing and worrying about that combination. I think the optimistic story you could be telling is that this could help us develop drugs that treat a disease in a particular patient more effectively. This could develop, new kinds of battery materials potentially, right, that give EVs another 500 miles of range. There is a lot of potential in developing new things. And so it is, how do you balance that risk versus the potential?
All right. And Scott Kirsner, is there something particular to Boston that makes us a place where quantum computing could and is coming up?
Yeah, I mean, because we have Harvard and MIT here, you see lots of research being done, labs being started around quantum computing over the last couple decades. There was this important physics of computation conference that happened here in Dedham, Massachusetts in 1981 that was kind of like the birth of the whole field.
Huh.
And now you have companies like Atlantic Quantum is one of them. Another is called Quera that we've talked about, that Quera has raised $275 million, some of it from Google, to build quantum computers. And I went to see one recently that researchers can already access, and I guess you and I could access using Amazon's cloud computing. So you can basically rent this quantum computer from anywhere in the world by the hour for $2,500.
Scott Kirsner is a columnist with our editorial partner, MassLive. Scott, thanks.
Thanks so much.